friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show, and today, you guys, we have an extremely special episode 203, Being Real with My Future Husband. I'm so excited, you guys, to hear this awesome episode. As I mentioned in the episode, I'm having a little bit of an issue booking guests through the holiday season, which is normal after a couple of years of doing this. So I thought, what a perfect time. He was coming home. What a fun date night to go over about us and the story of us. And I got some of the girlies to ask us some questions about relationships and us in general. Sophie, please stop. So thank you guys so much for listening and being here always. I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode. And just want to remind you, if you are listening on Rumble or YouTube, you can like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. With Spotify or Apple, you can also turn on notifications and give your girl a review if you're feeling so kind. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at the Be Real Babe podcast or Be Real Babe on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are enjoying. I got a new Christmas theme for the next episode. Hope you're loving it. And yeah, I cannot believe we are just about a month and a half away from ending season 8 and very soon getting ready for season 9. I cannot believe it. I hope you guys are loving this season as I am, and I'm going to shut up now because I am so proud of my future husband and it was such a fun episode. Let's get to it. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And with me today, I have a very special guest joining me for his first time. I'd like to welcome my future husband to the show. Hi.
What's up, everybody?
I'm so excited. So you guys, to be quite honest with you, had a little bit of problems in the holiday season, bunch of rebooking. So I thought, what a perfect time to bring my future husband on and give a little story about us and a little answers to some questions that we got our girlfriends to answer. Or ask. Anyways, are you excited?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, when did we start dating?
That would have been 2016, kind of. We started talking in 2016.
Yes.
Right around Christmas time. I was out working, and you were kind of just hanging out by yourself around that time.
I was by myself. Actually, yeah, that was one thing that we realized after when we started talking, that we were both by ourselves for our first Christmas alone. I think, was that your first time being alone?
Christmas? Yeah, I was working because I really had nothing else going on, so I decided to just work all the way through the holiday, and then we started talking around there. I think we started talking on Tinder. We followed each other on Instagram and stuff like that before that, but it was Tinder.
It was Tinder, and I remember texting you and being like, you showed up on Tinder, I don't know what to do, because obviously I was in like a space where I wasn't ready to, I told him I wasn't ready to date and we're going to be friends, and that didn't last very long. But so at the time when we started talking, I think one of the questions was, when would you first notice each other? And I actually noticed him right after I got divorced, because you were at the gym at Motion GP, shout out Motion GP, and I was following you and I was like, oh, you're so hot, and then you started dating a girl. And I unfollowed you because I wasn't about that. But so I was really sad about that. I remember thinking that, and kind of unfollowed you and forgot. And then you popped back up on my radar in like the fall of 2016. I think you were coming back to Motion a little bit more, but you weren't single yet. But I just was noticing you there. And then, we started talking more as friends. And then you became single, but we didn't know that. I think at Christmas we didn't know that at the time. I don't think we talked about it.
Yeah, I think around that time I knew it was gonna happen anytime.
Yeah,
there,
but I didn't know that.
No.
So I was looking at other things, and I didn't know that was an option. And then in January we found out that was an option. And you were working for 3 weeks when we first started.
Like a couple months. Oh yeah,
when
it was
first started dating.
6 weeks. I think I did it when we first started dating, which was tough for sure.
Yeah, but it was kind of like nice in a way because I wasn't really ready to jump into anything serious. So I feel like we got to know each other better.
Yeah,
like we had a lot of time.
And I was also like testing at that time, so it wasn't like I was doing very much. So we could
talk a
we
lot.
could chat throughout the day. Unlike what I'm doing now, we don't always have time to do it.
No.
But like back then,
Yes.
I'd sit in the trailer for 12 hours. So I had lots of time.
There was lots of time. So it was like kind of nice, especially for someone that was just going through a divorce and stuff and not really knowing what I wanted, and I didn't want to put that on him, and I didn't also want to put on all my toxic traits and like treat him like my ex-husband. So I felt like it gave me time to get to know you without the pressure of like physically being around, you know. It was nice. I don't know. I just think it was nice, a good way. It was because we got to know each other on a different level.
Definitely makes you look forward to see each other more often. Like you're waiting for it.
Yeah. Whoa. Just kidding. You didn't have to wait long. Just kidding.
I always say absence makes the heart go fonder.
True. And it was just nice to not have the physical pressure of, you know, just what that's about. And we got to know each other. And I felt like at that time before, like through my divorce, before we started dating, I felt like I was just kind of being like used. So for me, it was just really nice because you cared and you weren't like getting it and you still wanted to talk to me. Mm-hmm. So you're patient. So that's kind of how we started. Motion GP. Most of you in Grand Prairie will know that.
I kind of miss that place. I'm not gonna lie.
Motion.
Yeah.
It was a big gym.
Yeah.
Like it was shitty and there was
so mold, disgusting but so nice at the same time.
Yeah, it was. It had just lots of options, and I think all of our friends were there too. So it's like you knew everybody and it was like more of a social event than anything.
For anybody that's watching this, my favorite thing, and I brought it up the other day to one of my buddies, was never seen the place. They used to hold their tiles on in the bathroom with clear tape. Like, that's awesome. Like that's what kind of classy place this place was.
Oh, I'm so sad it shut down. But hey, we met each other there and we grew our relationship and lots of friends from there. So that was my first memory of you is from the gym. Is that when you remember seeing me, or did you see me anywhere else?
No, I think that was on there. Yeah. Well, I remember because I think I followed the dungeon gym.
Oh, right.
So that's where I would have seen pictures on there.
That's right. And then, I started. Thanks, Corey Bubiak, for shout out to you for bringing me to Motion to meet this piece of meat. Just kidding. So we'll go to some of the. So that's how we started. And then we moved in right away, like a couple months. I think your lease was up on your apartment, and we were living in a big house, so it made sense. And then you moved in, and then all of our other roommates moved out, and we've been together ever since. So 2017. I don't know, like we were Facebook official. I think it was like March or something. You gotta wait a couple. March, you gotta wait a little bit. We're going on 8 years. I guess this January is what I would say. And then last year we got engaged at Christmas. Yay!
Around Christmas time. Yeah,
it'll be about a couple weeks, 1 year anniversary to that when this actually launches. So obviously Christmas is my favorite time. So well done. But since then, we were in Grand Prairie for a couple years, and then we moved to Kelowna in 2019.
Yep.
Yeah, in September. And then fun story about that. We made our decision. What was it, like May? I think May, June.
Yeah, it was around May.
Yeah,
I was ready to move way before that. I was kind of just waiting on you to say when you were ready to go.
Yes. Well, I just got a job in the cannabis space, and so I wanted to see what that was about, and I didn't think there was any other opportunities, and I was kind of sad about leaving that. But then, I had that miscarriage, and we were just kind of a realization that life was kind of happening, and we wanted to kind of get on with our lives, and we were just kind of sitting there. I remember being like, where would be our dream place to move?
Yeah. I remember Googling where is the warmest place in Canada to live, and it was the Okanagan that popped up, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm sold. Let's go. Yeah. Let's do it."
And at first, I think we weren't sure if we could do it, and then we're just like, "Why couldn't we?" And we just kind of made the decision that we'd rather live in a box in Kelowna than stay in Grand Prairie. No offense, we love y'all, for one more day. And so we made the decision. I think end of May, beginning of June, and we looked at places, looked at jobs, and it was kind of like as long as I could find a job, he would go back and forth in the patch. And then, we came down, in August? Got our keys?
Yep. Yeah, it would have been, we came down in August, like it was the beginning, middle of August or something like that. And we were supposed to move in September 1st, I believe.
Yeah. And we came back, and then we're like, oh, we weren't just going there on vacation. We were getting our keys to our new place, and we're moving by, and then we were gone within like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that was fucking crazy. Shout out to Mom for coming up. She drove me in the Hyundai and the cats, all 3 cats. Well, this one didn't have to have any cats.
No, it was awesome. My drive was awesome.
Such bullshit.
It was so quiet.
But we won't go through the whole story of how U-Haul fucked us around. But anyways, we ended up having to take what was a horse trailer.
Yeah, it was a 22-foot enclosed trailer.
Yeah, and we had to get rid of some stuff last minute, so that was fun. That was definitely stressful.
Which somebody's still a little bit bitter about. I pretty much had to order a dumpster the last couple days before we left, and I think we filled it twice. With stuff.
Yeah. And then even still at the end, because we were expecting to have a U-Haul, and then we ended up with a couple feet less. So I had to let go of like a fucking bookshelf and a bunch of shit. I was pissed.
Yeah, there's quite a few things.
I was
There's
pissed.
probably a lot of things that she doesn't even remember. So
No.
I don't feel so bad about those ones. But it's
No.
the bookshelf I've heard a lot
But
about.
you just always want to have it,
Yeah.
and then not knowing that we're going to move here
Yeah.
and then the pandemic. I mean, some stuff extra
With
stuff.
that being said, there's enough nice to purge
Yes.
stuff that you don't really think you need.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it was our first step of becoming more like minimalists and just caring about the location and the environment and us having a good time than what was in our house. I think that was like our first like I don't know. I love Alberta for sure, but there's definitely a vibe of like keeping up with the Joneses up there, and here it's just more like hippie life where it's just like as long as we have a shirt on our back kind of situation. So yeah, we moved, and then that was decent. And then you just before you were gonna go back to work, your first time, you actually got a job in Kelowna.
So like I had applied, or she'd applied to it first. She applied to the same company, and it sounded like it was kind of a cool position for her. Honestly, it probably would have not. It's nowhere near what she's doing now. So it's like what she's doing now is way cooler.
Yeah.
But me leaving because I just got signed off to soup at Boreal, so like I had a decent job, but I also drove down here and I was like, damn, it's nice. It's nice down here. I don't really want to go back. And I mean, we're there in June. It was still like 30 degrees in June, so I'm like, I really don't want to go back to Grand Prairie. So sure enough, the day before I was supposed to go, I got the phone call that I got a job with cannabis extraction system design company, and I obviously took it right off the hop because it was an awesome job.
Awesome job, yeah. And then go to find out that I get an interview as well, and then I'm in the interview, and for one of my first questions, because I had to ask, was, do you hire family members of employees? And they're like, well, why? And then they stop and they're like, are you dating Grant? And I was like, yeah. They're like, oh, we can't. We don't do that. It was totally understandable. Like you said, at the end of the day, it was way better job opportunity for him and for his experience. And then for me, I ended up in a way better position now. But still at the time, that took me. I remember being like, you son of a bitch. Like I was this close.
She was trying to be happy for me, but at the same time, she's like, I hate you.
I know. I was like, oh, you're going to be here. But at the same time, fuck you, because I want to be in cannabis again. And I didn't know if there's any other opportunities like the one I had now. So, but I remember being, like super happy for you. Yay, you're home. But like, fuck you. I can't believe you snuck in. And I'm pretty sure I think I had found out about it first. I think I had applied
You're the
for
one
the
that told
job.
me about it.
Yeah, and then you were like, well, I'll just apply anyways. And then
when I applied, it said there was like 3,200 applicants. That's so right. I was like, I'm going to throw my application in there. There's no chance I'll ever get this. But
yeah, and then you did.
Yeah.
And you always do. You always get cool jobs like that. I love that. But yeah, so that was thank you for reminding me of that, because I kind of forgot about that. I was trying to bury that deep, obviously. And then one of the questions is, how do you get over this kind of stuff? You bury it deep. No, I'm just kidding. But that was fun. And then you drove back, and then we had just moved, all that kind of stuff, and he was just driving back, told them that he was quitting, and they're like, okay, bye. So then you had to drive all the way back because you didn't have a crew house or anything to stay in.
Yeah. They I told them at like noon.
Yeah.
And then they called me to the office and they're like, because of your position, we don't want to keep you around here, which is completely fair.
Yeah.
So.
And that was just like, I was like, please stop. And you didn't. And I remember coming home at like 5 a.m. I was like, you son of a bitch, you didn't stop.
Going the speed limit, I must say. Yeah.
Yes, always the speed limit, I'm sure. Yeah. And then you worked at Vitalis for a couple years, which ended up taking you into all different places all over the States.
That was a pretty cool job. I wish it would have, like, COVID really wrecked that, because it was pretty cool. Like spending time in Miami, Tampa, Vegas, like.
Even those small little towns all over the place.
Yeah. Like Connecticut, like that's not somewhere I'd ever really choose to visit, because like, I mean, but it was still a cool town. It was like an old town, which is, like I said, not somewhere you'd normally go, but they had cool stuff there, like stuff you'd never think to look for.
Yeah, and you got to go across Canada too and see different stuff. So you really got to travel. And then during the peak of
I got to go to my hometown too, which was kind of cool. Like there was a bit of work around that area too. So
yeah, and then during peak COVID, which was like one reason why I think for us we were just like, all of this is bullshit, because as this is all going on, he's touring the States. Like, I don't even remember, you're gone for what, 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks, something stupid like that. And it was like height pandemic, and everyone's like, people are dropping dead, and meanwhile Grant's like going through Florida. I think Florida was the last place you were before.
I was in Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah.
So just outside of Tampa. It was like an hour east of Tampa. And like Tampa, Miami, there were hot spots for it.
Yeah.
So,
and they were just like, can you come home? And then Trudeau's like, we're shutting the borders. I was like, holy fuck, get home.
At the time the company was like, because nobody really knew what to expect from that. So like the company was like, we'd kind of like you to stay, because like the guy that bought the systems, he had lots of money, let's put it that way. He had scheduled to buy like, I don't know, 20 or so of these systems, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So like they were kind of like hinting like, we'd please like you to stay there. And I'm like, at one point I'm like, sorry guys, like if I can't get over the border,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be happy.
Yes.
So like,
Yes.
I'm leaving now.
And it was one thing to be like, you were down there, we weren't worried. It was more like,
Yeah.
if they close the borders and you can't get home, then I'm stuck at home by myself in Kelowna. We had just moved like a year, and because we had moved September 2019, and like the pandemic and all that started in the spring of 2020, we didn't really get a chance to meet anybody because he was gone, this new job, and I was working from home and then started my job at Flower. So I didn't really get to see anybody. So the first year was like kind of isolating. I was like, you absolutely need to come home, especially at that time. We had no idea what to
Yeah.
expect. It's not like we were afraid of the pandemic. We just didn't want to be separate.
Yeah.
Which was scary.
Well, for the first little bit, like, because we didn't know it, so there was only bad news on the news.
Yeah.
Like, it was, we had no idea.
Yeah, what to expect. And then after a couple of weeks, we're like, okay. And then things just got weird from there.
Yeah.
But we survived, and then we made friends after the pandemic because, you know, no one wants to be friends with unvaccinated, you know, mouthy people like we are. But then we had good summers, and then the pandemic ended, and we're now here. So let's look at some more questions. So that was kind of, so 8 years together, engaged for 1 now. Wedding date TBD. Shit's expensive, y'all. Like, it's expensive. Okay, so I said my first memory. Do you remember your first memory? Was there any other ones in that? Oh, you said the dungeon, maybe.
Well, I remember like our first official meeting in person was actually at Shark Club.
Yes.
We went there for wellness after the gym.
Because we're going to go as friends.
Yeah.
And then I walk in, and this motherfucker, and like I remember, this is like my first like juicy daddy I dated. So he was sitting there all large and
fresh pump,
backwards hat, and I was like, oh god, girl, you're in trouble. This is not going to be friends. I tried to act cool, and then remember that guy that he tried to hit on me, or
he even asked me, he's like, is it cool if I hit on her? I'm like, no, I probably wouldn't. Like, yes, no, I asked you to come. Like,
it was so weird too. Not weird, like I guess I kind of get it, and I guess it was kind of a respect thing, but then he texted me and asked what my intentions were with you, and I was just like, I was so confused because I was like, is he asking? Like, why are you asking me this? He's like, well, I was just interested if you're not interested in it, if we could date. And I was like, I kind of want to see where it goes with Grant. Like,
we'll leave the name out of it. But I told him the exact same thing, and he still tried. So that's weird. We're not friends anymore.
Sorry, brother, you're not invited to the wedding, which is gonna happen. So good thing I said no, and I knew. But anyways, that was a save for me. Okay, so what was our first date? Oh, what was our first date? Where did you take me?
Moxie's.
Yes, and what did we go to see after?
We went to see Moana.
Yes, why?
Which was my favorite movie. Yeah. But with that,
you didn't know it was going to be your favorite movie.
I knew it was going to be my favorite movie. It's got The Rock in it. Come on, let's go.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And I love all the animated ones. They're awesome.
Yeah,
all the Disney ones.
Movies, yeah. And that was one thing right off the bat where I was like, oh my god, not only is he this like big juicy daddy, but he also will watch Disney movies with me, and he'll sing them. He knows more of the words than I do.
I know all the words.
I know all the words, which is like one of my favorite things. Yeah, and then I don't remember, but I guess I asked you to come back and hang out after, and you met Sophie.
Yeah, originally I left. And then because we lived like right down the street from
literally, like I could throw a stone almost in his house.
Yeah, and then she texted me. She's like, well, you can stay for a little while. And I'm like, well, obviously I'm coming back. Like, duh. And then, we came back, hung out in her room for a bit, and I cuddled with her cat, Sophie.
My cat, Sophie, not my cat. Just to be clear for people that are listening. That was good. It was our favorite date. And Moxie's is still a huge place. Like, we're going there tomorrow for my birthday dinner because we won't be here for my birthday. So we're going out there tomorrow. It's my favorite place. It's a tradition. And perfect first date. And we got to know each other pretty well. Because we'd already been talking, so it kind of felt like it was a first date, but at the same time, almost that it wasn't like a first date because it was. We'd got to talk for a little bit. Again, that's why I felt like the nerves were just a little less on the first date because we'd already kind of made the groundwork, and there wasn't as much of that awkward like.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember when the first date was after we started talking. I feel like it was a little while because I worked.
I feel like it was like February
for a while after that.
Like I feel like it was like after Valentine's Day because I think you had sent me flowers on Valentine's Day,
something like that. Yeah.
And I was doing a boudoir photo shoot, big production thing, and you weren't there, but you were. And I remember that was one of the things that I liked the most about you because, in contrast, no offense, ex-husband, you were just so excited about what I was doing artistically, and I just never had a spouse that actually like wanted to know what I was doing and like excited for me and posted that you were proud of me, and I was like, whoa, like what is this?
Well, I'm definitely not artistic, so
no, that's
I
fair.
appreciate it when other people can be.
Yeah, but that you cared and said that, and like you weren't afraid to share that. I'll answer this one. So who said I love you first? That was me. And I took him by surprise.
And when did you say it?
When we were having sex. I thought that was a good time. I thought any other time, like, how can I make this even better?
Because you knew you should get it in response.
Yeah, absolutely. How could you say no to that? So, ladies, if you're going to say it's a good first time, is that a fair time to say it?
Oh, yeah.
When would have been a better time?
No, I can't think of a better time, personally.
There you go. See? So, I like this one. What's something you admire about each other?
Well, your ability to stick with things. I don't know if there's many of you that know me, but I have like ADHD. So I'll fixate on something for a little while and then on to the next thing. Like, and it's great, but she can stick with something like, say, the podcast. Like, we're at what, 203?
You're 203.
Yeah, 203. So like, I probably would have lost interest after 3. so that's pretty impressive to be able to do that for so long. Yeah, and me too. Yeah, put up with me. That's a big one too. Putting up with me for that long.
This is fair, but also commendment to you for having ADHD and sticking with me for this long.
Fair.
And not going on to the next. So like, wins for that. Thank you. Well, that's very sweet. I know you always like to. I wouldn't be able to do it if you didn't listen to me bitch about it all the time. And I think for me, my favorite thing that I admire about you is that you just like will not give up on me and our relationship and our future, and you'll do anything that needs to be done, whether that's putting yourself in the patch and making yourself really miserable for our future, or even just like with me, like I've had to work through so much, and I told you that at the beginning that I was a mess, but that if you're willing to sit beside me, like I'll love you forever, and you have, and you know, no matter, even if I've been at my most crazy, you've always sat there with me, and I really appreciate that, because I feel like there's no man in my life except for my brothers that haven't like just pieced out. So that's my favorite.
Ride or die,
right? We're getting peanut butter jelly tattoos probably. I think that one's fun.
Yeah.
Why is communication so important in a relationship?
Well, if you don't have communication, you have nothing. Like,
yes.
That's where like people start hiding things and it's just a slippery spiral from there.
Yes.
Like, it's like you don't know what the other people like, what they don't like, what they want to do with their life, what they don't want to do with their life. Like, yes. It's everything, literally. It's if you don't have communication, you got nothing.
Yes. And I think too is like being open and honest about it and being vulnerable, right? I think that's because if you're not, I think what we learned in the couple years is that if you don't talk and you don't have that communication, that honesty and transparency, then your inner shit will start creating stories. So it's like if you don't talk about something, let's say, for example, okay, here's an easy one, where I would get like so pissed off at you for even commenting on how I do the dishwasher. And like, it's like one day I feel like you're like, why are you so upset about this? And I was like, I actually asked then I had to stop and ask myself, like, why am I so upset about this? And like, no shade to like my stepdad or anything, but he used to get very upset if I didn't do the dishes properly, and like a high level of upset. And that just, I didn't realize was like a inner trigger, if you will, to childhood trauma. And I was like, oh, this isn't you that I'm mad at. It's a childhood thing, and I'm sorry, and I've done really good to not clap back after. But if we hadn't talked about that, I think then I would continually get mad at you for something that's not you, right?
Yeah, or start resenting me in other ways just in relation to that. So
yeah, and would just create stories, especially like, you know, if you have like, say, like sexual trauma, and say you're trying to heal for something and you don't communicate that to your spouse, they might think something else, like that maybe you don't care about them, or maybe but really it has nothing to do with them. And so I always think when you don't have communication, you then take your insecurities or your crazy spiral thoughts and
you start creating your own communication in your head, pretty much, essentially, is what it is.
Yes. And then on top of the communication is actually really listening and replying, not just like replying to just reply, but like to listen, right? I think,
listen to understand, not really reply.
Exactly. And one thing too, which one of the questions was on here was, have you ever had a game changer conversation in your relationship? And I think one of the biggest ones for me is one day we were just kind of sitting working through it, and you're just like, what do you want from me? Like, not like me in our relationship, just in the moment. And I was like, I know, like, I understand, because I'm sitting here being a psycho and I'm spiraling, and you as a man want to come in and help me because that's your job, damsel in distress. But sometimes I don't want that. And so I think our biggest win in that moment was just like, okay, tell me what you want. Do you want me to just listen and you're just venting? Do you want a solution? Do you want a hug? Do you want like, what do you want? And put it back on me. And then I have to, in that moment, then be like, I just want to vent. So then you're not scattering to try and fix it and pissing me off by giving unwanted advice.
Because that's what I naturally want to do, is try and fix it immediately.
And I love that. That's what you should do. But sometimes it's like something you can't fix. Like if it's at work, or just something that you can't, like my finances when it was really bad or whatever. And I love that you try to fix it, but at the same time wanted to bash you over the head because I just wanted to vent without you just like going to immediate fix hero mode. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I think that's one of the best communication advice is just tell what you want.
Yes.
It's that simple. Just like nobody can guess. Nobody's a mind reader. No. I'm definitely not.
No. And you have to also, like, on the flip side to that, you also have to make sure you're having it, and I don't want to say safe space, but like an open dialogue so your spouse can come to you with the hard things too, right? I think that's one big thing that we always struggle with, especially when we're growing together, is that we don't want to disappoint our spouses, but sometimes it's like you have to just be honest and be truthful about it, because like you said, you could have something stem and be like, why are we actually fighting about this? And it reveals to be something, okay, it's not the socks on the floor, it's this.
Yeah, it's probably something totally different.
Yeah. And so I think too, like if you communicate what you're going through, is your leg frozen?
A little bit.
There's that better. I think it's so that was a good, just like figuring out how we can talk, and big game changer, which is one of the questions here. When we first started dating, I was so shook when you asked me what my love languages were. And I was like, who is this human?
Yeah, it's one of those videos that I've seen, and I was like, I'm going to try this out and see if it works.
It works. Sure and he got laid from it. Just kidding. But what you had said to me is that you hadn't realized that there was love languages, and that perhaps, in other past relationships, maybe it wasn't, obviously it didn't work, but that you wanted to make sure that you were, loving me in the way that I was receiving it. And I just never heard that before. And then I did the test right away. Yeah. And then we found out that your touch is yours and mine is word of affirmation, which is really funny if you think about it, which is one of the questions of what our love languages are. And do we do that for each other? Because his being touch, I was not in a, like, again, no shade, but I wasn't in a very like hand touchy relationship before. So it was very new to me, and especially had come with some like trauma. So it was very new to me to have someone that actually wanted to like touch me all the time, and that was his love language. And so I had to kind of get over my shit, and still working through that to make sure that I show up for him. So yes, I do, but yes, I struggle in the area that he receives it the most, not because of him, because of my shit. And I feel like I've done good working through that.
100%.
Gotten better.
Yeah.
And then with you,
and sometimes like I can tell she doesn't want a hug, but I'm just gonna give it to you. I don't
yes,
give a shit.
Well,
it's not gonna hurt you.
No. And it's not like him. It's just like me working through stuff. And I feel like I've done it better job. I could get better.
100%.
But at the same time, with your words of affirmation, you're always like, I'm not as like creative, or like with me, I'm always like overdoing words, and you're doing really good at that. But I feel like that's an area that you had to learn how to be a little bit more aware of saying, because you're just like, I'm not used to it. Oh, great. Low power. Hopefully we don't die. Pray for us, kids. Pray for we don't die. Oh, I forgot to plug this in. Oh, wait. Anyways. Okay. So next question before we die. After being with each other for 8 years, what keeps you still in love and have that excitement? Ooh.
Oh, we're just always doing stuff. We always, like, that's one of the things we do when I'm away.
Yes.
We'll talk about what we want to do on days off, what we want to try and accomplish, and just always doing stuff different. Like, life gets kind of, I don't know.
Stagnant.
Yeah, stagnant. You kind of just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, especially even with like, the gym and stuff like that. But we usually try to, like, especially in the summer. The winters, it's a little harder. It's kind of gray here, but in the summer we go. That's like the only speed we have is like going.
And building traditions. I think that's huge for us. Like we have our traditions that we love doing together, like going for breakfast. If you guys know us, if you follow either of us on social media, that's like one of the traditions that we've had since GP. We always go out for breakfast, mainly because I'm allergic to peppers, so breakfast seems to be an easy one.
And we don't have to make it.
And shout out to Diner Deluxe with their delicious breakfast, $10 breakfast. And
I feel like we should have shares in Diner Deluxe.
I feel like we should. I really think we should. And building traditions. So like in the winter when it is hard, we always make turkey dinner, even if it's just the two of us. And we've had
quite a few.
Yeah, and we have friends.
Like holidays where it's been just the two of us. Yeah, and then if people can come, they're always welcome.
Yeah, and then just like Christmas too, we stay with the traditions, obviously, and we do those things. And I truly think, because I think you got to find your best friend, because then you just enjoy doing stuff. And I read something the other day that was really cool. It's like, find someone that you want to go through hard times with.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so cool. Like that was such a cool way, because like the pandemic was hard, but it made it so much easier because of who we are and how we hang out together.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that was fun. Reverse. I never want to do that again, but we made it fun. Like even just when we had nothing and we were just using the cats in the carry cages to lift.
Yeah, and like I was rowing you had my belt on, and I was using you as a dumbbell, and like shout out to her for like letting me do whatever the hell I want to do during the pandemic. Like I was bench pressing her, I was squatting her, And she didn't really let me squat her. I just kind of picked her up and did it anyway.
Yeah, that was the
But
time. Yeah.
dumbbell rowing her.
Yes.
I feel like there was more than that.
Yes.
But
We just made it the best that we can. We always do that. And I think that's it. You just have to make, I think, gratitude. I think that's really big part of us, that we're both very grateful, and we also let each other know all the time we're grateful for each other. And so it's like, even if it's the worst times, we're just grateful that we're together. Like, we love our cats, we love our home, like we work really hard for it. So and yeah, so building traditions, stepping out of your comfort zone, and pushing each other, because like I'm a baby, and so he pushes me to do stuff all the time.
Yeah, and vice versa.
That's true. You're on here. You're doing
I'm on here. I'm doing cardio.
You're doing cardio.
I don't know why, but I'm doing it.
I don't know why, but I'm liking all by himself. I'm not even asking him. This is a good one. So, when looking for the right one, do you think you should be on the same page for political and religious views?
For political, I think hell yeah. It would be so damn hard to be with somebody that supports Trudeau. I'm not gonna lie, that would be tough for me for sure. I know a lot of other people probably say the opposite. Like, I know lots of people that their spouse is the opposite, but it would be pretty tough. Like, because it does play a big role into like how
your morals
everything is.
Yeah. Now, I don't always think it was, though. I think like dial back 10 years, I feel like it was more likely that you could probably have different political views and it wasn't the end of the world. But now everything is
polar opposites, and everything's polar opposites. Like, it's either one or the other. It's exactly. Not. I don't really see many people that are right down the middle. So
yeah, exactly. And so, and two, I think I said everyone's so sensitive about stuff. So it's like already hard enough to be in a relationship. Now when you bring politics in it, and politics now really align with like morals, right? We have more conservative morals. We do have more, we're not like, we believe in God, but we're not like religious Christians. But we do follow, like, we have faith and we follow certain standards for us and what we believe in. And ever since that was one thing on here too, like I was very atheist when we first started dating, and that was one thing I was actually worried about. I was like, so political, I think now, yes, I think it's important to align, or at least be okay with not aligning, and at least, like, for example, like, I don't know, I think you have to talk about certain things like the abortion, like, situation. If you're not, that's a big conversation to be. But if it's like, I don't know, I believe a little bit more differently in a little bit more let's say trans rights. I'm a little bit more liberal when it comes to trans than you are, but that doesn't end our relationship, right? So it's like,
because like generally our ideas
are the same, and it comes down to like morals when it comes down to what actually affect us and what would affect our family, right? So when it comes to like trans adults and stuff, that really has nothing to do with us. But if it had to do with like trans kids, then we're right on same par with that kind of stuff.
And that's honestly what all that really matters to me in the end too, is like the kids and stuff like that. So,
and our choices, like and our future, right? Like what that looks like economically and stuff like that.
Like, I am in the oil patch, so that like the political side of it makes a big difference for my career.
Yes.
If obviously
things go down.
Yeah.
And Trudeau doesn't work with.
He's
Trump.
very, very not pro oil and gas. So that's it's a big thing.
Yeah, it hurts our family table, which people don't think about. It hurts your family table, and that's the one thing I fucking hate, is him hating that. It's like, who is funneling and fueling all of Canada, and who's making sure you guys go home at nighttime and you're nice and warm? Because that's, people, that's one thing. We won't get into this, but I think that's one thing that I'm very grateful being in a relationship with you, is being friends with your friends and seeing what they go through when it comes to like women and relationships and jobs and the shit that men have to deal with, because the world's so feministic now. Yeah. It's like men are hated on so much. And thanks to you guys and like being honest with me, I get to see the other side, which is really great. But yeah, I think it depends on your morals. So it depends if your morals are tied to a lot of the political things, and it could look more like you don't align politically, but really I think morals and politics are now kind of one and the same. So
essentially, yeah.
I think that as long as your morals align when you're going into voting, as long as you can, be okay. But I would struggle too. I would struggle to date someone with different political views. Okay, so next one. Did past relationships skew your view of relationships? If yes, how did you work past that? I'll answer that yes, because I didn't think there'd be somebody that was like into what I was into, and I just didn't think that someone would care about me as much as you've shown me that you care. So yeah, I definitely put you through the ringer, and was definitely not easy because I was nervous that you're just going to walk away. So yeah, I definitely had a skewed view of relationships, and you definitely changed that for me.
I'd say for me, like, honestly, like, I never really had any serious relationships. I had a lot of flings, but honestly, most of them didn't last long enough. So I can't really say I did too much, but
You
maybe
decide
maybe
not
a
to
little
be a
bit.
fling with me?
Yeah, I knew right away I wasn't gonna be.
Oh. Took you only 7 years to propose, but whatever. Just kidding. I'm still gonna get my digs in.
Only 'cause she told me I could buy something cool if I did.
Oh, that's. I bribed him. I bribed him for it. What? Oh, we did this love language one. Um, name your favorite memories together. Oof. Vegas was a fun one.
Vegas was fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Vegas was a lot of fun.
Anytime we go to the island, or anytime we've gone out to St. Catharines, like any family visit that we have, we always have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Vegas, like going to Hakkasan, going to Wet Republic. As much as I struggled to get that one was good.
And I think every summer we try to, like we said, every time we're, especially since you've been in the patch, we try to make it always fun. Mm-hmm. Like our first wine tour this summer. Yeah, was fun. We had your first tomahawk.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun too. Yeah,
and renting the boat for your birthday. Yeah, surprising you on your 30th with a birthday. Yeah, but birthday boat, even though the weather was shit.
Yeah, I'd say our whole summer is the best memories because like we do so much in the summer. Like there's times where I go back to work more tired than I left. Yeah. Because we try to do so much in the summer because like I'm only home for so many days a week. Yes. Or a month, sorry. So
June, you weren't even home.
Yeah, June I wasn't even home.
You worked the whole time. And then getting Benjamin. Yeah. That was a good memory. He's not in here right now, but getting Benji, moving to Kelowna, getting engaged, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a highlight.
Yeah. I honestly, it was so funny. I didn't mean to say this, but I thought because you invited Jeremy to do the night before, I think I told you this. I thought, because like, and girls will relate, and it's not anything shade. When you know you want to marry, you're always like thinking about the times that it's going to happen. Like, can it happen now? Is it?
She wasn't subtle about it either. She'd definitely tell me.
I was pretty good. After last couple years, I didn't say shit as much. I got my digs in once in a while. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that you knew. Yeah. And that wasn't the reason that you weren't asking. But yeah, I definitely wasn't subtle, and most girls aren't. But anyways, what I was saying, sorry, yeah, I was trying to say, is that you always like come up with times like, oh, maybe he's gonna ask now. And then so I thought maybe, and I stopped myself from doing it. I thought maybe because you had asked Jeremy to go for the walk of lights, and I remember thinking, I look so ugly right now, and it's so dark and gross. I kind of didn't want you to do it because it was just so like, just not a pretty look. Even though I don't think I looked prettier on Christmas morning, but definitely better than I did the night before. So, anyways, I was really shocked. I think Christmas Day because I just put it out of my head. Yeah. And I was like, stop doing this to yourself. You love him. It doesn't matter. It did matter. But yeah, we have lots of fun memories together. And as much as I hate the pandemic, I feel like we did have a lot of fun for like
despite
like we were supposed to go to Soundwave, and instead we had a rave in our house instead. Yeah. And then New Year's we watched a rave and counted down by ourselves. See, we make it fun ourselves. When you have hard days, how do you handle it? Do you take a step back and let the other think for a day or two, or do you talk it out right away? Depends. I think sometimes I need space because I'm mean and I don't want to be.
I don't think you're mean. No, I think it's good to take a bit of time, but like at the same time, if you take too much time, then you might start stewing and creating your own narratives in your head. Mm-hmm. And I think it's good just to talk it out right away. Yeah. And yeah, it might come out a little hot and heavy, but
I think we're better at it now. I think when we first started, we had to take some space, but now we've learned how to communicate better. And I unfortunately grew up in a home where people yelled. And so when I feel like I'm not being listened to, I don't mean to, but I yell and I don't like being that person. So I think that's why I have to step away for a little minute, because in the moment, just because I'm in fight or flight, which has nothing to do with you, I just want to win. And so that's where it's like, maybe I'm not mean, and because I do walk away, and obviously you're a big boy, I'm not going to hurt your feelings by saying some words. But I just mean like, that's not the person that I want to be. And I don't want to say those hurtful things, whether
I think we both do that. We both realize you look pretty quick after. Yeah. Like, hey, like, I was being a dick.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sometimes you just need space.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things, is just admitting when you're being a dick. Yeah. You might not notice it at the time, but then like 5, 10, 15 minutes later, you might realize it. And
maybe I didn't mean that way.
And or admit it. Like nobody's perfect.
No. And I think that was our biggest thing too. And I think a couple times too, where it's like you're fuddled with your words, not you, but just anybody, myself included. And sometimes it's been nice to just text it through, where it's like the other person gets a second to think and then reply, without just like in the moment, just like your emotions are all hyped up, and like if you're a woman, you're, period, luteal phase.
Yeah, it sounds weird. I did watch a video that was saying, the guy was saying that sometimes the best conversations are had over text, which I don't necessarily fully agree with, but sometimes I do. It depends. Yeah. Because you do have time to think about it. You don't have to respond right away. You're not direct in contact
Yes.
for some. It's obviously for some cases. It's not every case,
No.
but
Because sometimes I just feel like your instinct isn't always necessary. Like it could be coming from a wounded place or like through a lens that has nothing to do. Like I could be lashing out at you, it has nothing to do with you. It's just in the moment and just like, hold on, I need 5. Or like if I'm a stoner, I just need to get big, so I'm not gonna be mean. Uncensored me, I don't like that version of me. So yeah. And also too, okay, so hard days. I think you just have to, in those moments, practice. It sounds stupid, but gratitude the most. I think when I'm right hyped up, I like kind of have to dial back and being like, you're my best friend. Like, why am I actually mad at you? I think like you have to really be patient with the other person. Call them out though. Like, I don't think it's fair to be like, I wouldn't want to be a dick. Like, I'd be like, oh, you're kind of being a prick right now. Like, you know.
Good example. Like I had a bad day with my new company the one day.
Yes.
I won't get into depth on what happened, but it was a bad day.
It was not a good day.
And her natural instincts just want to help and try to fix it, but unfortunately there was really nothing fixing it. So essentially, I had to drive back to a customer site, and she just decided to come with me just because she was kind of worried because I was pissed off. And like that, I appreciate that because like she wasn't like after she realized she's not going to fix it by doing that she kind of just sat along and was a co-pilot from a distance.
Yes. I just didn't want you to run anybody off the road, and I didn't want to, prison 2024. We said we weren't doing that again. So, no, I just, in that moment too, like, even though I kind of figured where it was and it was where I thought it was, at the same time, I was like, he just needs to run through this and I can't fix everything for you. I think that's the hardest thing in a relationship that I think most people can probably relate to is watching your spouse going through something and you just want to help them. You don't want them to hurt. You don't want them to be frustrated. You just want to fix it. But sometimes you really have to just be in the passenger seat and let them work through it and just let them know that you're there.
Let them rage.
Yeah. And what did I do? I said, how can I help you? And you're like, just
and try and tell them to calm down sometimes because I know for some people it doesn't work by telling them to calm down, but
not in that way.
Sometimes people do.
I think not being like calm down, just being like, it's okay, we've got this. Like no matter what happens, we've got this, right? I think it's just how you're saying the message so it's received. Yeah. If you're just like shut the fuck up and calm down, I'm probably gonna.
We're saying you're being crazy. It's probably not the best term unless you want to get punched in the throat.
Yes, but like just being like, how can I help de-escalate this situation? How can I help make you feel supported? Like I think that's why I said, what do you want from me right now? Just shut the fuck up and sit here. And he was like, yeah, I can't even think. So it's like when we were driving, I was like, oh, a cute corgi. And I was like, don't tell him. He doesn't care about the corgi. And if I would have, you'd probably been like, I don't care. And then in other moments, I would have been like, well, he's being such a dick. But at the same time, I knew because I asked him that he just needed me to be there and that, by doing those little things, that probably would have annoyed him. And that's totally fair because he told me, right? So it's like, I think too, when you're having a hard day, just explaining that too. Like he was like, I'm having a shitty day. And I was like, okay, so this going forward, any reaction that I'm getting is not personal. And you have to kind of like unpersonalize it and let them go through it. Yeah,
it's not directed at you, it's directed at the situation.
Exactly. And I think us communicating that made it easier because I'm like, why are you being so mad at me? And then I immediately get defensive because I want to control the situation and make you not angry. But one, you're allowed to be. And that's one times too. I try to make you not feel upset about the oil field, but I try to be positive. And then the one day I was like, I'm sorry for not letting you vent about that because it is shitty. And
sometimes you just need to vent it out.
Yeah. And that's where it goes back to, what do you need? Do you need to just vent it out? Do you need a solution? Do you need right, going back to those questions? So and one thing too, another one that I think we want to shout out to and like sponsor me, obviously, the Paired app. What is the Paired app, you asked? Just kidding, I'm not sponsored, but it would be cool to be. But the Paired app, you found that.
Yep. Yeah, I found it through an ad or something.
Yeah, and we've been doing it for I wish we would have looked. 700 and something days. I think it's 2 years.
700 and something days.
Yeah, so I'm by the time this launches, I will have made my 1 year streak. But I have done 365 days, and this app has been amazing. You can pay for it, or you can do a daily free one, which we did. I think the first 6 months we paid for.
Yep.
But then we realized we were only doing kind of one a day, so it made no.
Well, it's a random question every day, and you don't get to see the answer until you've answered. So, like, for example, it's the one yesterday was like share one. Was it one memory? One of your favorite memories or something? Or I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was share a photo. So you go through your album and share a photo, and then you get to see each other's photos once you've posted them.
Yeah.
And then it lets you like react to it or whatever,
and develop conversations after that. And there's quizzes too, so you'll do quizzes, and it's really good to be honest. I think at first it was hard to be honest because you didn't want to like hurt the other feelings or be like, oh, this is going to start not a fight, but kind of.
Yeah, and maybe sometimes it's like, holy shit, we're not good at this stuff.
Yeah,
There's some
exactly.
things that are.
Yes. And then it's self-reflective too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times when I'll like score low on something, I'll write underneath so that you know I'm not thinking it's you. I'm like, I need to work on this.
Yeah.
I'm not scoring low because you need to work on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, they used to have games where we used to guess certain things, or they updated the app and they're no longer there. But it's pretty cool because it still shows that I've won 5 and she's won 1.
I not won the games.
Unfortunately, she has no way to catch up because
no
they don't do it anymore. But
no. But I'm
still
kicking
winning.
your ass in the streaks though, and still like even too like I'll poke them to make sure if we're busy because it's great because it's another way that we connect and we talk through stuff, and I think it asks us questions that we would never think before, so it opens up
well,
so much.
700 and whatever questions, we've never got the same question.
Not
ever.
a duplicate.
There's some that are similar, but you could be a year down the road where it's your answer's totally different at that time. So it's cool.
That's a good point. I never thought about that because you grow as a couple, and then there's a spot to put all of our memories, which is nice because my social media got hacked, so I don't get Facebook memories anymore of when we started dating. So I just loaded it in there so we can see all of our special dates. Yeah, it's a really good app, and I know some other friends have tried it with their spouses. And again, it's like you have to be in a place to be open to it. I think because there are hard questions too. It's not just like light, fluffy ones of like what's cute, but it is fun when you answer the same thing or get really close. I'm like, holy fuck, we're the same person.
The same thing quite a bit of the time.
I think today's was if you were upset, what picture would you send to each other? And we both sent a picture of me and Benjamin smuggling.
Only because I have like 1,000.
I know. I was trying to find one of all 3 of us, but it's really just a lot of me and Benji spam. So yeah, so the Parrot app, guys, a really great app. I highly suggest it. But again, being open to it and then having the conversations, I think it really helps you learn how to open up conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and then in the future, and then I'm thinking of things after that, right? Being like, oh, he answered this way. How can I show up to make sure that I'm still honoring that, or can I be better at that, or whatever? It's really good for self-reflection too.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got to be into that. What are 3 things that increase your confidence as a couple? I would say, big one, I would say is respecting each other in your home and outside of your home.
Yeah.
Like respecting your relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like, I don't think one thing I don't love, and maybe I mean shade to this, I don't like when people like outwardly bitch about each other, like their spouses on social media. I think that's so fucking disrespectful. You should be having those conversations at home. And it's one thing I think sharing your experience after the fact or coming on and having like couple relationship conversations for sure. But I could never imagine a world where I'm getting on social media and bitching about you.
Yeah, you see it all the time and you're just like, how? Why are you still doing it then?
I don't get it. I just could never do that. And even just like with my girlfriends, of course we have moments when you're trying to work through stuff and like trying to be a better spouse. I'm not saying that, but I don't believe in a moment I've ever gone to my friends and like hated on you.
No.
Like, you're my best friend. Why would I do that? Not saying that you haven't pissed me off and I've been like, oh, fucking Grant bought a BRZ. That was so dumb. And fucking, you want to tell me about that time? Yeah. Share that story?
Oh, when I went to just see a buddy and ended up leaving with a car? Yeah, that's
no,
cool.
When Siri's fucking dialed you and I was bitching about that car to Dustin.
Yeah.
And she Siri dialed. I don't know if I said Grant, and she just dialed Grant, and I was so pissed off about this fucking car that he bought, and I was bitching about it to my GBF.
I already knew how she felt about it, because like when I went to her work to surprise her with it, she kind of walked out and then turned around and walked back in. So I kind of already knew how she felt about it.
Yep. And Siri went and dialed, and then I got a text saying, "I'm glad to know how you feel," and I was like. Never trusted Siri. Anytime I talk shit now, I'm always looking at my phone. Just kidding.
In all fairness, then she drove it and she's like, okay, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, it was fun because it was a standard and I hadn't driven standard in a long time. But it was definitely not like, it was one of those like, when you're with your best friends, like, I can't believe he did this. And Siri fucked me. So yeah, I think one thing is having respect for each other in and outside of the home. Social media too, like, again, like, even if we have a disagreement or if you've ever done something that I'm not happy with, keep it private. We'll talk about it when we get home. And that doesn't mean like, oh, I'm gonna be a dick to you until we get home. It's just like, this isn't a place, like, even at the gym sometimes where we, like, if we've gotten into it, I've been like, table the conversation, like, let's not ruin, like, not you, but let's table this right now and have this conversation at home because it's public. And I just don't think that
like how I might run a pause.
Yeah, pause.
Go back to doing what we're doing and we'll discuss this later.
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's just more like being in a space where you can both feel open. Like, I don't feel open that I want to say shit in front of a bunch of strangers. Like, that's weird. And I also just don't think it's anybody's business. I think it's weird. Plus, like, that's how people like record stuff, and that's how weird shit happens on the internet. So yeah, respect each other. I think being honest and open with each other about stuff. So especially your insecurities, right? And just things that bother you. I think that's huge because my insecurities. So then I think we both, and I know yours, so I think we can both operate in a way where we try to curb that or not do stuff to inflate those insecurities.
Yeah, for sure. Try to minimize them at least.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, respect, honesty, and transparency. What would be another thing that would boost your confidence as a couple?
That's a good one.
Time together, probably.
Time together, but also time apart too.
Yes.
Like,
being your own person.
Yeah,
There you go. Being able to stand on your
if
own.
you literally like spend every second together, you kind of develop and morph into the same person. And like honestly, with being the patch, that's one of the greatest things with that is it sucks. It sucks being gone. I don't want to do it forever, but at the same time, being gone so much, it definitely helps.
Yes, and it helps develop our own like. And to me too, like you being gone, one thing, like when you first left, I was like, I don't know how to drive anywhere. Like I couldn't even drive to Diner Deluxe. I was stressed straight out, and I was like, holy fuck, I really depend on him to drive me everywhere. And just it's taught me how to be independent. And of course, like it sucks when like bad things happen when you're gone. My hack happened when you're gone.
Yep.
The water pump went when you're gone.
Yeah, it's always when I'm gone.
The battery went when you're gone. But then what did that teach me? It taught me how to be independent. And you help like as much as you can.
Yeah.
And you being away helps us have more money to pay for that shit.
And like even to add to that, like to boost confidence in our relationship, we also like we don't go searching for attention from outside of like our relationship. Like people post like so many like you see couples posting stuff all the time, and you're like, it's just straight for attention.
Yes.
Like yeah, we'll post like a gym selfie or whatever.
Or
like,
appreciation post.
Yeah, because sometimes you need that little boost to keep going. But
remind bitches that he's mine.
Yeah. Yeah, claim your territory. Yeah,
just pee a little bit around me. Just kidding. And no,
but like if you're doing that all the time, that's like
you should be focused as long as your stuff's at home, right? Like if your social media should reflect what it's like at home. Like we have a happy home, but I'm not going to go up and like bitch and bring the bad stuff on there either because I just think it's weird. But I also think it's you can just I don't know. I think for me too, it's like you said, not going out for attention, even just as individuals, right? Like I think I just get confused and whatever, to each their own, where you just see people have been dating or they're married and their spouse isn't on their social media at all. Yeah. And you're like, why? Like I want everyone to know
it's a business page, but if it's a personal page, I'd say like every other photo on mine is probably you.
Yes. Well, my old one was. I kind of get sad, but that's a good point. And like being proud outwardly too. I think, and just understanding what that is of that person. Right? If you're dating someone that's not a social media person, then don't expect them to do that.
Some people don't want to be on there either. That's which is fair too.
Yeah, and I think again back to that honesty and transparency, and like I love that. Like that my words of affirmation. So one thing that he does all the time is if you can go back to, well, it sucks that I lost my old Instagram, but almost every photo of me by myself, Grant's hitting on me with some sort of like one-liner or like some sort of funny, one-liner pickup line. And because that those words mean so much to me. So just continue doing that and trying to make sure that person feels loved. If money wasn't an issue, what would you do for a living?
I bet you guess what I would do.
Be a lion tamer or lion.
Word for word. That's exactly what I do. I'd probably have a lion sanctuary in Africa or somewhere. Yeah. Where I could like house lions and
be with them all day.
Not caged lions. I'd want to have them running free. Yeah. But like that's 100%. Like is either that or golf.
That or professional golf.
Pretty damn close on both. But I'd say definitely the lion like rehabilitation center or something like that. But
I think mine would be like dialed down a little bit from a lion and have like a cat sanctuary. I think that one would make me feel a little bit less stressed and more in my range.
Also, that's a toxic trait, thinking that I could tame a lion. To be a lion tamer.
Can you tell he's a Leo? Yes, he is a Leo. He's born in August, so just emanates all of that. But both of us would be some sort of animal rehabilitation. And cats of all sizes, maybe. Yeah. Be on an island.
For me, the bigger cats. Yeah. Ones that could definitely eat me, but.
Yeah, and I'll have the ones that could eat me but won't because they love me too much. What advice would you have for singles trying to date in today's world? I'm sorry.
Oh my God. God bless you.
So when we started dating, I only had Tinder for like maybe a year, so I don't know that I'm the best at giving dating advice in this digital world.
It was still pretty new too. Like I have buddies that are still in the dating world, and like it just makes me sick. Like it's
unfortunately
crazy.
Ask their gender.
Like a buddy, he'll try to strike up a conversation with a girl, but girls on there, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Like they have so many options. So like the guy, if he doesn't stand out in the first second, like he might be a stand up dude. It might actually be a perfect match, but and I'm sure it goes both ways too. But like. if he doesn't stand out, doesn't start with that right phrase, then it's gone.
It's written off.
It's 200 options down the road.
Especially if he's not like, if he's not physically attractive off the bat, right?
Yeah, or if you don't even recognize him in person too, like if you never,
or women,
because sometimes
catfishing.
Hat
fishing.
Yeah, catfishing. Yeah,
hat fishing,
hat fishing,
makeup fishing. Yeah. There's filters. It's so scary now. I would say the best way, because like that's how we met, is by within your hobby.
Yeah,
I know it's hard, and I know that because too it's like the gym is where we met, but that's also where there's also a lot of toxic people, because a lot of people, not toxic, but in toxic eras, because they're going there to heal, right? So it is really hard, I think, but finding somebody that you have at least something in common with, because that's one thing me and my ex didn't have in common was a gym, and there was like no understanding really to why I wanted to be there all the time.
And like the gym it is important. I know a lot of people don't want to say that, but it definitely is. Like having a family member with like Alzheimer's, it's one of the main things is being active, doing it. So it is really important. So like I don't think I could be with somebody that doesn't have any desire to be physically active.
Yeah, and do stuff, and to like keep up with your like you're a go person with your ADHD, and I'm like I don't know, some sort of like anxious. I do not. I have it by proxy. I have ADHD by proxy, because you have it and both of my work wives have it. So I am literally, and some of my friends have it. I'm surrounded. So I just act like you guys because I just want to fit in. Yeah. So I have ADHD by proxy, but I'm also just a busybody. Like I don't, I think that comes from me losing friends at an early age. I was 19 when I lost some of my friends, and I think I just feel blessed every day that I have a life. So I'm just like, I got to live life to the fullest, and you're just like that as a person. And so that's how we blend a lot of the times. I don't think I could be with a lazy person, or someone that, maybe not even the gym, but just something physically active that was keeping you healthy, right? Like it's so important for so many reasons. So I think today in this world, I think authenticity is going to be your key. I think that people are very easy to be fake. So I think as long as you're just authentic, it's going to be harder to find people and less dates, but you'll have more luck finding the right person if you're real in a very fake world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's easy to read through the bullshit too. Like some people, they can seem like it, but it's also pretty easy to see through that.
And also be open to that. Maybe not everyone is showing themselves, because like Grant said, especially like women with men, it's like guys are really afraid to approach women now, and fair enough, because there is a lot of creeps out there, so we could say that equally. Like it's not, I don't think it's a gender thing. I think it's just,
no, it's a generational thing.
It's a generational thing, totally. And so I think like women just don't be afraid to get to know them a little bit more, because I feel like guys are kind of being a little bit more scared and trying to be a bit more reserved.
I'm not saying this to shit on women by any means at all. So I'm saying, but like the guys can, like, I know I see it all the time where guys will go up to a girl in the gym and be like, hey, what's up? And start talking to them. And then all of a sudden they're getting shit on the line. Dude, he was just shooting a shot.
Yeah, just say no.
Just say
like,
no.
Take it as a compliment. Even if it's not, just be kind, and like it's a good way. It's a good way for them too. It's a good way for men, and because men are afraid to do that now. And then women are like, why aren't they approaching us? It's like, well, you snap their fucking face off.
They want the attention, just not from that person, which is fair. But how are they supposed to know that?
Yeah, how do they know that they're the right person that wants that attention? They're going to shoot their shot, say no, and carry on. And then men, though, don't be fucking creeps if she says no. Is that fair to say?
100%.
If she lets you down and knows a no, I think knows a no. I think women will let you know.
And if you've sent 15 messages and she hasn't responded, stop, bro.
That is an indication. It is an indication. We will let you know.
That 16th message is probably not going to be the one.
Yeah, like when girlies play hard to get, like it's really not that hard to get. Like I feel like there's hints. It's like
start with something cheeky, dude. Like start off with like even
an icebreaker.
Even if you're not clever, just search up.
How do you find all of yours?
Oh, a lot of them are in my head.
Oh my gosh, whatever.
But
we're gonna go as Google search. It's gonna be our next episode. We'll do each other's Google searches.
Simply search something up.
Yeah.
You're not faking it. It's just a way to start a conversation.
Yeah, false confidence, like goofy. Like I feel like that's such a way to do it now. Like the cocky arrogance of like, like, oh, I see myself in your pants. Like, okay, you could do that when we were been together for 8 years. But like, I don't know, just a fun, goofy one. So I think be yourself. Don't be afraid to like say no, but also don't be afraid to dive deeper, right? Like, just good luck. I'm praying for all of you. How do you guys handle being away from each other so much? The paired app, I think, is a big one, because it opens again like conversations simply, and it's something that I look forward to every day. I'm looking forward to what the question's going to be, and just that we at least take 5 minutes.
I think I found myself, even like if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll even check to see if it's next day yet, so I can see what the next one is. Yes. I might not answer it right away, but at least I can see what it is.
Yeah.
And just texting throughout the day, like communication throughout the day.
Yes.
Like there's days where I'm busy as hell and I struggle, but we still make time for a phone call, even a couple texts. It's pretty important.
And I think too, like, and I know this sucks because there's days where it's just like I come home from work and you're here and we might not be talking, but you're here, right? So it's like on those days that are shitty, I feel like even if I don't want to talk, I push through those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like, even if you're having a moment where it's like, you'd want to be by yourself, but that's a half an hour that you have to talk, like, shut the fuck up and just do it. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, I think that's one thing where it's like, I'm busy, I'm doing other things, but I will always make sure to schedule that time whenever you are ready. And even though it kind of like, not infringes, but like, I'm a very structured person. So I'm always like, let me know. But at the same time, I'm like,
there's also times that I don't necessarily want to talk either. Like if I had a long day, I'm usually exhausted. Like there's quite a few days where I fall asleep with my lights on
like,
top
you're not calling, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, I fell asleep.
Yeah, and like I'll make a plan to go call her, say, because I get off at 6:30. Yeah. I make a plan to call her at 7:30. There's a lot of times where I'm out cold by then, and I'll sleep right through to the next day.
Yes, and that's totally fair. And then again too, like, and then me understanding, like, he's at work, it's exhausting. Like by the time you're done eating, and like even going to the gym, like, you know, sometimes I don't want you to sacrifice talking. Like, you know, we can text, but at bare minimum, we talk, or we at least communicate that we are not talking or talking. So again, goes back to the honesty and the communication. If I don't want to talk on the phone, you're not like, oh, you fucking don't love me. Maybe before you would have, but we work through those things where it's like, oh no, you're just tired and very.
And I get it too. Like it's long days. Yeah. You get tired.
Yes. And me too. Like he knows that my job is socially exhausting. Like it might not be physically exhausting, but like Excel is hard. Yeah. And I do a lot, and
I've tried to make simple spreadsheets and I can't do it. So
he respects my Excel game. This one's one of my favorite ones for our last one. What's one green flag and one yellow flag about each other? So one green flag is just how much you love me. Like I think that's my favorite thing, is that you're never afraid to tell me how much you love me and show me that. And then your yellow flag is your fucking socks on the floor. Nonstop. Like I literally, you're gone and I'm still picking them up.
I'll start with the yellow flag just because I think it's funny. She loves energy drinks. I don't think I've ever seen one finished ever in my life.
That's not true.
Like I'm just looking here, I can see at least one, and I know it's not empty.
Well, because now it's like 9:00 at night. I'm not drinking it at 9:00 at night.
Yeah. And I'm sure I could go downstairs and find another one that's probably got this much left in it, which is fair because, like, I mean, you want to limit your caffeine intake, but like,
that's funny.
And then green flag, I can mirror the same one. Say how much you love me, how much you love other animals, how much you like your job, and all that. How you're just always willing to do whatever I want to do.
Yes, that's
you
true.
You always ask me what I want to do, but it's not always what I want to do. Sometimes it's what you want to do.
That's true. We're very good at balancing that. Being like, what do you want to do together?
Yeah, like I'm not a big hiker, but I said this next year I'm gonna try and do.
He does try, and then I'm not a like thrill seeker, but I do try to do things that put me out of my comfort zone.
She's gonna agree to go skydiving.
No, my God, no. No, something a little less than that. Maybe like an intense like roller coaster or something, or maybe mushrooms for the first time. Not skydiving. I'll support you in that. But yeah, these are great questions for all the girlies that sent in questions to help us. Thank you. This was so much fun. You did such a good job. I'm so proud of you. I feel like I stumbled the first couple of minutes. I've, for one, never have someone in my own studio. I've never interviewed my own spouse before. So that was fun. Oh, Sophie is getting out of her bed, so she's telling us it's time for us to wrap it up. But thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, guys, if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Pinterest at the Be Real Babe or the Be Real Babe podcast. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble there as well. Thank you guys so much for your support and listening all the time. And until next time, guys, bye. Thank you guys so much for the support. I cannot thank you enough for being here. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please give me a follow at the Be Real Babe podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, and Pinterest. You can also find me on Facebook at the Be Real Collective. Until next time, guys, bye.